Okay, so welcome. We are going to be making a slow roasted round bone lamb chops on caramelized onions and fennel. And these are the round bone lamb chops. They come from the shoulder. This is from a very young spring lamb, so it's very tender. The older lamb you might need to cook a little bit longer, but it's a great cut. I've seasoned it ahead, so I usually take it out like the day before out of its packaging and season it with salt. And I'm going to be seasoning it then with a spice mix. And the spice mix I have is a Persian lime curry. And this one I get at Oaktown Spice Shop here in Albany. And I'm going to just sprinkle it. It's a mixture, it's like a curry powder. So you could use curry powder, you could use whatever spice mix you have, garam masala, that would be good too. But I salted it ahead of time, and now I'm just going to season it with a little bit of the curry spice mix and leave it to one side. Then I have a little cast iron pot, skillet, pan, could be whatever you have. And I'm going to take a red onion, which I cut in half, and then I cut off the root end so that it then will slice, and then I cut with the lines on the onions. So you can see, rather than cutting it across into rings, I cut it with the lines. That way it falls into better shape, it'll cook more evenly, and I'm cutting it up. It doesn't have to be super thin. Once you get too close to your hand and you think you're going to cut it, I'm going to just throw those into the cast iron pot there. And you can just flip it over and then just start slicing again. So slice it into slices. And I love this because it's kind of a dish you don't really have to pay any attention to, which always helps. You can go off and do something else and just come back and check on it once in a while. So cut that one, and again slice into nice slices. And you can see how they'll fall apart, and it's a better shape than if you cut it into kind of half moon shapes. So we make a nice bed of onions. You can see that's just a very casual bed of onions. And then just because I had them have it in the fridge, and I wanted to use it up, you can see it's starting to get a little long in the tooth. So I'm going to cut off the bottom and remove that outer edge. It's a bulb of fennel, and I'm going to do the same thing with that, but I'll actually cut it into wedges. Rinse it off, and then just cut it through. So the fennel is kind of an oval shape, and I'm going to cut along the oval that way. And then you can leave the root part in. You can see the root there. Leave that in, and then we're just going to slice it thinly. And I'm going to toss that with the onions and a little bit of salt and pepper, some olive oil. And I don't measure any of those things. We'll take a look about how much I add of those. So let's add the fennel in. And oops, it's the end. And get the salt. Generous, that's probably about a half a teaspoonful. This is kosher salt, so about a half a teaspoonful of kosher salt. And then some black pepper. Grind that on top. And then we're going to drizzle it generously with some olive oil. So nice, generous drizzle of olive oil. And if you had some thyme in the garden, you could probably put that in. But with the curry spices, I felt there was enough flavors going on. And I'm going to finish it with a little bit of cilantro. But just take it and kind of toss everything together. The fennel, the onions, olive oil, salt and pepper. And then you put it in the oven. The oven is at 350, so really nice low oven. And I start that off, and I will cook it for about 45 minutes. And then I will take it out and put the lamb chops on top. But I want to get some of the juices going from the onions, kind of start it to soften before I put the meat on. And then it's cooked for the whole time in this very low heat. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes. I'm going to check because depends on your oven, depends on how hot it is. So I always check before the time is up. I said 45 minutes, and I can smell them. Sorry you can't smell it, but it smells delicious. So let's take a look. And you can see everything is starting to color a little bit. We've got lots of nice juice forming in the bottom of the pan. So, and that's crucial for keeping the lamb nice and moist while it's cooking. So I'm going to toss it all up, and it's definitely wilted, and the fennel's starting to soften. And I just take my 2 round bone lamb chops, which are at room temperature. And this dish, you could do it with anything, not anything. You could do it with chicken legs, that would be nice, chicken thighs. I would also consider doing it with a pork chop, maybe a pork shoulder chop would be good. And just put the spiced meat on top. We're going to put it back in the oven, it's still at 350. And we're just going to let it go for probably about another half an hour. Then I'm going to flip them over and let it go for another 15-20 minutes. And they will get nice and brown. All the juices from the lamb will go down into the onions and fennel, and the whole thing will be delicious. So, and really you've done nothing other than chop up some onions and fennel, and been in the house so that you can come and check on it every so often. So in it goes back into the oven, and we'll check it in, as I say, about half an hour. So it's been about half an hour, and so I'm going to just take a quick look at the meat in the oven, and it's looking really nice. It's starting to get a little bit of color. The onions are beginning to caramelize around the edges, and the fennel, and it smells delicious. So I'm going to just flip them over, and you can kind of stir up the onions and fennel a little bit as well. And then I'm going to put it back in for another half an hour. So how easy is that? Just we'll chop up a little bit of cilantro or parsley to put on top of it after it comes out of the oven. But there you go. Okay, so the half an hour is up. I think our lamb is ready to go. So I'm just going to take it out of the oven, and yes, it looks really good. It has shrunk back. It looks like it's starting to come away from the bone. It's got nice color. Our fennel and onions are really nicely caramelized. So I think it's ready to go. So I'm just going to finish it with just a little bit of chopped parsley, give it a little bit of color, and I'm going to serve it with some basmati rice and some asparagus. So there you go, pan roasted round bone lamb chops with fennel and onions. Have fun cooking.